Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I wasn't planning on doing a video tonight, but I just listened to a video from John X, I think his name is John X Army, and it was extremely disturbing. So I just sat here, I'm sitting here in my living room just thinking, and it's, ladies and gentlemen, what have we done? Is what I'm asking myself. What have we allowed our country to become? You know, when I think about everything that's going on, there's so many things going on at the same time. And it's so many bad things, you know, and as you all know, I'm a finance, minded person. So, when I think of things, I think of it in finances and money and what occurs when you disrespect real money and real wealth and you take it for granted. And also what occurs when you allow certain people at the top to manipulate you by giving you free things for years and years and decades, and then voting for these people and allowing them to get away with murder as long as you have your bread and circus. And it's not any one person, it's not any one class of person, it's all of us. We have all allowed this to happen, even me, because what am I doing to combat any of this? I'm doing YouTube channels to try to wake people up so that they can start prepping. But what's going to change? What are we waiting for? I just don't know. Why am I not out on the streets marching and protesting and sending my senator or congressman an email or a letter every day? Why have we let it get this far? So I'm sitting here thinking, how did this all start? Because we are in deep trouble as a nation. What we have done as a nation is incomprehensible, however you want to say it, but it's really bad. So think back, ladies and gentlemen, to 1971, when we finally decoupled the dollar from gold. Okay? Think back to then. What is the importance of having the dollar being backed by gold? For those of you that may not understand, the importance is that gold is a finite element, okay, found in the earth. And if you can only print so many dollars for so many ounces of gold, sorry about that, I got my dogs in here. If you can only print so many dollars for so many ounces of gold, then there's only a finite number of dollars that you can print. If you have 1 ounce of gold, then you can print $40. I believe that was the Bretton Woods system. It was $40 to 1 ounce of gold. Or I think it was $44.60. But let's say $40. You have a limit on what you can spend. So you have to be responsible with what you spend. And I'm going to tell you right now why it is. One of the reasons why I think that the world hates the United States of America. Okay? Find me one country that truly loves the U.S. I can't think of one. This country is kind of a joke around the world. So this is what we've done to the world. In 1971, we decoupled from gold, right? We decoupled the dollar from gold. And effectively, all right, Richard Nixon effectively gave the Federal Reserve when he decoupled the dollar from gold, he effectively gave the Federal Reserve 100% control over our money. 100% control. Because now the Federal Reserve can print as much as they want. And not only that, but he gave an exorbitant amount of power to politicians. And how did that happen? How did he give that much power to politicians by decoupling from the dollar? Because now politicians can offer free stuff to people because they always knew that we can always print more money. And the corruption escalated after 1971. I'm not saying there wasn't any corruption prior to that, but it escalated after that because now we have a central bank that has the ability to print as much money as it wants, and it doesn't have to be accountable to anyone. And ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't understand, the central bank is not accountable to the United States of America. All right? They are a privately owned bank. If you type in Alan Greenspan on YouTube, Alan Greenspan, and then say something about Federal Reserve not accountable to the United States government, you'll see a clip of Alan Greenspan, which was one of the Federal Reserve's chairmen, 3 or 4 back, all right, where he's saying that the Federal Reserve is not accountable to the U.S. government. The U.S. government cannot tell the Federal Reserve what they can or cannot do. Okay? So now we gave this institution the power over our money. And in turn, we enriched politicians to be able to make promises to people so that they can get voted into office. But that's not the worst part, okay? That part right there is just creating a citizenry that is dependent on the government. That's not the worst part. The worst part is that since 1971, we've been printing monopoly money. It's monopoly money. You start a printer and you put some really pretty pictures and pretty numbers and symbols on a piece of paper, and you say, here, this piece of paper is worth this much. Now give me that. And here's this piece of paper. But the worst thing is that not only did we disperse all of this fake wealth within our nation, but we exported all of this inflation throughout the world. So for all of these decades, we've been sending countries IOUs, because that's what the dollar is. It's an IOU. For all of these decades, we've been sending countries IOUs for real, tangible goods. So here, China, here's an IOU. Now let me get some of your gadgets. Here, India, here's some IOU. Let me get some of your labor. Here, Korea, here's some IOUs. Let me get some of your cars. Here, Japan, here's some IOU. Let me get some of your DVD players. Let me get some of your washing machines. Let me get some of your cars and some of your computers. Man, these dogs are making a lot of noise. So that's what we've been doing for all of these decades. We've been trading fake wealth for real, tangible goods. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think that the world is not awake to what's going on? I always hear in these financial shows, yes, when a country is not doing good, what do? They run to the dollar. There's only one reason, ladies and gentlemen, why when a country is not doing good economically, they run to the dollar. It's because the dollar is the cleanest dirty shirt in the hamper. It is. But my question is this: what's going to happen when all these other countries wake up. And they are waking up. They are waking up. More than 40% of the world's nations are no longer trading in dollars. What's going to happen when all of these nations that have reserves of dollars, what's going to happen when they say, we don't need these dollars anymore? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to spend those dollars in the only place that they can spend them. And where is that, ladies and gentlemen? Right here. So all of these trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars that are floating around outside of our borders, they're going to come right back here. They're going to come right back to the United States, and you're going to wake up one day and you're going to go buy a loaf of bread, and you're going to buy a loaf of bread that you paid $2 for yesterday, and you're going to realize that now it's going to cost you $12. That's what we've done, ladies and gentlemen. And I say we've done this because we've allowed it to happen. I'm somewhat ashamed. I'm somewhat ashamed that this country may not be the country that I want my children to grow up in. Because it's not going to be easy. And I'm not fear-mongering. Goodness gracious, if you want to get scared, go to John X Army's channel and listen to his last video. Okay? If you want to get scared, go to his channel, listen to his last video. Okay? But I'm not fear-mongering. I'm just saying what I see that's happened and happening. And I hate to think that this has all been planned. I don't know. I think it has, unfortunately, but I don't know that for a fact. But whether it was planned or not, we are where we are. And I'm telling you the truth. I am pretty scared of what's going to happen. Because sitting here thinking about the ramifications of what this nation has done, okay, and I know that there's good people in this country, all right, but there are some really bad players sitting up there in the District of Columbia that are making decisions on our behalf that you and I are going to have to pay for, that our children are going to have to pay for. All right? Think about it. What year did we stop putting silver in our money? What year? 1964. Why did we stop putting silver in our money in 1964? Because there wasn't enough silver to put in our money. Because we had abused the system so much that we had to take the silver out of our money. Because the silver that was in our money was eventually going to catch up to the dollar bills we were printing. And that dime that had 90% silver in it, that has about 2 or so grams of silver in it, would have been worth more than the dollars they were printing. Okay? So in 1964, they took the silver out of our money. And check this out. What happened in 1964? The war on poverty started. In 1964, the war on poverty started. What does that mean? The war on poverty is when this country started a huge welfare program for quote-unquote people that were poor. So we couldn't afford to keep silver in our money. And then, as you know, a few years later, we completely decoupled from gold. It's all been a scheme, ladies and gentlemen. We have been robbed. Our children have been robbed. And their children have been robbed. Right? It's just as bad to be walking down the street and someone putting a pea shooter to your back and saying, "Give me your money." I would say it's worse, because at least if somebody's robbing you, face to face, at least they have the guts to do it face to face, instead of doing it in a covert manner, such as inflation and such as the war on poverty, which created more poverty. If I remember right, I remember reading something, I don't know, a few months ago, that stated that we've spent over $25 trillion on the war on poverty. And we've only increased the number of the poor in this country since the war on poverty started. We've been duped. And we will end up paying for it. Our children will end up paying for it. We've been warned time and time again since the beginning of this country, since the birth of this nation. We've been warned about this happening, and we just let it happen. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the reasons I do this channel. This is one of the reasons I decided to do this channel, because I personally feel that we have reached the point of no return. And this is not fear-mongering. This is just facts. Just look around. Look around at the state of our nation. Every single state has a pension fund that's not fully funded. Only like maybe 3 or 4 states, I think it was, from that list that I read you guys the other day, has a pension fund that's funded 90% or more. And then after that, 4 or 5 states, I forgot exactly how many it was, but then after that, they all dropped down to 80%, then 70%, then 60%, and even worse, all right? We've got so much debt that it can never, ever be paid back. Our debt can never be paid back. We have borrowed so much from our children's future that they will never be able to pay back the debt in their lifetimes. What is that called, ladies and gentlemen? The debtor, or the borrower, the borrower is slave to the lender. That's what we are. And we've let it happen. (1776), Thomas Jefferson, quote, if the American people ever allowed private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. We've been warned. Quote, I sincerely believe that banking establishments are more dangerous than standing armies, and that the principle of spending money to be paid by posterity under the name of funding is but swindling futurity on a large scale. So pretty much he's saying that we're swindling the future on a large scale. We've been warned. Not only have we been warned about the money, we've been warned about the military-industrial complex. We've been warned about big pharma. We've been warned about big agricultural businesses that are taking over our farms and pretty much putting whatever they want in our food and not really giving us a choice on what we eat unless we can afford really expensive foods that were grown organically, or so they say they're grown organically. We've been warned about all of this. But yet we've let it happen. The last war that was actually enacted by Congress was World War II. We have not gone to war lawfully according to the Constitution since World War II. How many lives have we lost as Americans by going on offensive, unconstitutional wars? How much treasure have we lost as a nation by going in these wars? And it's never ending. There is always another boogeyman around the corner. I guarantee you they're working on another one right now. They're definitely working on another one right now. For one day, there will be no more reason for us to be where we are. And then something else will happen and they say, hey, here's the new boogeyman who wants to enlist. You'll start seeing commercials about Navy SEALs blowing stuff up. You'll start seeing commercials on TV about special forces guys sniping a bad guy. And then they'll be like, hey, we need people to enlist. Look at how cool it is to go to war. We have been hoodwinked. We have been dumbed down. We have been programmed. And all for what? All so that we can use fake money to buy crap that don't last but a couple months. So that we have to buy it again. We have, as a nation, forgotten who we are. I love this country. I don't want to live anywhere else. But I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever it is, I don't think it's going to be good. And for those of you listening, I hope you're preparing. You know, I hope you're preparing for better or worse. I hope that if you have a higher power that you answer to on a personal basis, I hope that you're in touch with that higher power. And I hope that you pray, you know, to your Savior. I hope that you are thankful for what you have. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't see things turning out great. I don't know if it's a curse or not. But I honestly wish that I'd have never woken up. I do. I wish that I'd have never woken up. Because as a man, it is true how this saying goes. And I'm sure that it's just not men, okay? But in my case, I'm saying as a man because I am a man, all right? But as a man, it is true how the saying goes. And it was a saying that I believe I replied to one of our community members today. I think it was Salobrena. As a man's biggest weakness is his family. My biggest weakness is my family. Because I would do anything for my family. And I'm trying to do everything that I can so that if something were to happen, and I think something big will happen in our lifetimes. I'm not talking about tomorrow or the day after. I'm not talking about December. I guess on Christmas Day now they're saying something. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if anything happens at any time. You know, I don't go by dates. But I just don't see how this system that we're under is going to work out to be good until after we've gone through something terrible. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that. If you're not prepping, if you're listening to this video and you're not trying to prepare and you're not looking at the future and at least trying to have some basic things put away so that you can take care of yourself for a little while, at least a few months, at least 6 months. That's a good starting point. You need to start preparing. I personally don't think that we have a lot of time. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I truly do. I hope I am so wrong. I hope that when I'm 80 years old, my kids are sitting with me, with my grandkids, and they're making fun of me, telling my grandkids stories about what a kook I was. You know, when I was younger, thinking that I needed all these preps. I hope to the good Lord that happens. I hope that God can hear me and allow that to come true. That I can see myself as an 80-year-old man sitting with his children and grandchildren. And my children are there telling stories to my grandkids, making fun of me because of all of the preps that I had when they were growing up. That would be beautiful. I just don't think that it's going to play out like that. I think that we are going to end up having to pay the price for all of the wrong that's been done by this nation throughout the world. And please understand what I say. When I say by this nation, I don't mean by its people. The American people are some of the most generous people, if not the most, and good people that there are. But we have a group of people that sit in their castles and do things in our name that we don't even know about. And that's what we're going to pay for. We're going to pay for that. How bad is it going to get? I don't know. I hope to God that it's not terrible. I truly do. Because I want my children to have a future. But ladies and gentlemen, you see this picture right here? The picture that I got right here? That's what's going to happen to the dollar. I think it would take a miracle for us to get out of our predicament whole. I think it will take a miracle for us to be able to make it to the other side as a nation, as a whole nation, as a whole people. We've been duped for so long. And I always hear people saying, oh, it's the left. Oh, it's the right. No, it's the Democrats. No, it's the Republicans. Stop that. Stop that. If you're still playing that left and right paradigm game, wake up. Wake up. How many Republican presidents have we had? How many Democrat presidents have we had? Has anything gotten any better? And I'm talking about the big picture. I'm not talking about, oh, in my county unemployment is 0.1%. I'm talking about the big picture. I'm talking about the fact that the middle class in this country is being wiped out. And I proved that to you in my last video by showing you that not only have we not been able to make more money than we did 17 years ago. The median home income is $60,000, roughly $60,000 today. And 17, 18 years ago, it was $60,000. But given the fact that $1 today would have bought me $1.50, that $1 in the year 2000 would be $1.50 today. It takes $1.50 today, or $1.47 today, to be able to buy the same amount of stuff that $1 bought you 18 years ago. And we're still making the same amount of money? No, we're not. We're not making the same amount of money. We're making roughly 50% less. Because in the last 18 years, inflation is about 50% over the last 18 years. When you compound that inflation year over year, our inflation over the last 18 years, not 50 years, I'm sorry, over the last 18 years has been about 50%, roughly. So even though we're nominally making the same thing now that we were 18 years ago, we're not making the same thing now. They're eradicating the middle class so that we can have a two-tier system of the haves and the have-nots. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a higher power that you pray to, then pray. I pray every single day, and I thank God every day for everything that He has given me. I thank God every day for my family. I thank Him every day for my health and my family's health. I thank Him every single day for our well-being. I thank Him for my life. It's just, I don't know how this is all going to play out. And the best that I can do as a man with a family is make a video and tell people that they need to prepare. And then give you a few hints on what you can do to prepare. And then make a few videos that can maybe help to wake you up a little bit. I'm not perfect. But I do know that we are good people. But I also know that we get the government that we deserve. So, those of you that are still stuck on the left and right paradigm, forget it. It doesn't matter who's in office. Okay? I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'm going to end it with this. Our government is like an eagle. There is a left wing and there is a right wing. And ladies and gentlemen, the left and the right wing are both controlled by one head. Simple as that. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be good to each other, because when good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. Because if we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every single one of you and your families. I love every one of you guys. Alright, so many blessings to every one of you. Alright, God bless you. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.